All right, so good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. As you all already know, since you've registered, we're joined by Colleen Mackenzie today. Colleen is the program coordinator at Crossroads Cape Breton. So she's going to be speaking about the services and supports offered by Crossroads and the programs available for individuals experiencing mental health challenges within the CBRM. Colleen, if you want to go ahead and give a little intro before we get into things, you're more than welcome to do that.
Okay, intro on myself or Crossroads?
On yourself, your position.
Sure, absolutely. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining. I just want to thank Emma and David and all the folks at Breton Ability Centre for this great opportunity. It's great to have a chance to just kind of be able to share and talk about, pretty informally about the work that we do here at Crossroads Cape Breton. So yeah, thank you so much. Very, very appreciative for the opportunity and for all of your time too, because I know how busy everybody is. So I'm Colleen. I've worked in mental health and addiction services since 1990. And started with Crossroads. We actually opened Crossroads in 1995. So we last year celebrated our 25th anniversary. And I've been with Crossroads since 1994. So I would have been kind of appointed the first program coordinator and was kind of involved in the development right from the ground up, which has been quite a story and quite a journey, and a real privilege for me, to be able to work in this field and to work with the people that I do work with. So yeah, I'm an occupational therapist, kind of by training and background, and by, I guess, kind of essence in terms of the way that I work. Have just it's been a wonderful ride. So that's just a little bit about me. I'm a local person, grew up in Coxheath and live out Myra now.
Awesome. So if you're ready, we can get into the questions.
Sure.
So I'm just going to go in order of what we kind of decided together. So to begin, what is Crossroads Cape Breton and where is it located?
Okay, so Crossroads Cape Breton is actually, I'll start with, it's a formal part of Nova Scotia Health's Mental Health and Addiction Services program. We always have been since our inception. And Crossroads is actually what is called a Clubhouse program. And it's modeled after a program that started in the late 1940s in downtown New York City. And what happened is a number of people, over the course of the last 60, 70 years, there's been a number of times in which people living with mental illnesses have been basically, attempted to be deinstitutionalized. So people in hospital, there's been like 3 or 4 times in our history in which there was a real emphasis on, we need to get people out of mental health institutions and we have to get them back to life and get them back to their communities. And so there was a big push on that in the 40s. What ended up happening is there's a number of people who returned to the community after being at a large psychiatric facility. And they found that they didn't have work, they had lost connection with friends and family, and decided that they really needed to take this upon themselves to change this story that they were living. And so they developed one of the first kind of peer support groups called We Are Not Alone. And then they engaged with, I believe it was a social worker, to really try to organize themselves. And they started the very first Clubhouse program called Fountain House, which to this day is still based in Manhattan. I think it covers something like 2 or 3 city blocks in New York City. It's massive. They serve thousands of individuals. They have housing and et cetera, et cetera. So over the years, this Clubhouse program has really taken hold. And really in the 1980s, it became very, very popular into the 1980s and into the 1990s. And so, there were some clubhouses in Canada. And we found out about it in 1993, I think. We had come across the model in downtown Toronto and just loved it. And actually there was one in Halifax at the time called Connections Clubhouse. And we visited Connections Clubhouse in 1994, I believe it was. And when I say we, I mean a few staff and the clients who were involved in one of the day programs where I was working. So yeah, just saw the model in action, loved it, and decided to really change some of the service delivery model at the old Cape Breton Hospital. And we started our clubhouse in 1995. So the clubhouse is the model. There are more than 300 clubhouses all across the world in over 30 countries. Clubhouses have a set of standards. They're called the International Standards for Clubhouse programs. And there's 37 of them, and they're really a Bill of Rights for members who attend clubhouses all over the world. And they're real clear guidance for staff and members to understand how we can do the best kind of work possible that's going to yield the best outcomes for people who are living with serious mental illness. So that's kind of a little bit of our history and our connection with kind of the clubhouse world. And I think it's important to talk about the fact that the clubhouse model has been just proven to have such varied and numerous benefits for people when they really get involved. In the clubhouse program, we don't use words like clients, we don't use words like patients. It is member. And so the person who is choosing actually to become a member of our clubhouse community and to avail themselves of any opportunity that we have to offer here. So that's just a little bit about what Crossroads Cape Breton is. We are presently located at 380 Kings Road, which is right at the bottom of Churchill Drive and Kings Road, and you will know it as Access Nova Scotia. we are in the building that's attached to Access Nova Scotia. There's kind of a two-story brick building at the beginning of Access Nova Scotia, and we're up on the second floor with all those beautiful windows. And we moved here just over a year ago in September of 21. And so, or sorry, the year before that, September 20. And so we've been here for just over a year. So that's where we're located, is at 380 Kings Road.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what is Crossroads Cape Breton's mission? I guess this could relate to even what you were saying about Clubhouse International. But what is your take on it, I guess?
Yeah. Our formal mission, is that we're dedicated to people living with mental illness, and that we are a community where people discover the power of work, where they set their life in motion, and where people discover purpose, hope, and introduce change into their life. So it's a whole bunch of words that really talk about growth and hope and work and friendship. Our mission on a day-to-day basis is just helping people recover their lives. So people who are living with mental illness often run into so many barriers and challenges kind of in their daily life. Maybe some people don't finish high school. Maybe people don't enter the workforce, or they have a variable work history, so they haven't been able to keep a job for a long period of time. Maybe they feel isolated and don't have positive relationships and friendships. And maybe they feel powerless in their own lives. So there are often some of the experiences that people have who are living with mental illness. It can really affect people in many, many, many ways. And so the mission of Crossroads is to really help people. What I say is kind of get their feet kind of on the ground, get focused, start building confidence in who they are as an individual, and then really launch from there. Like then start heading off in some new directions in their life, wherever that takes them. Whether that be, to improve their housing, or to develop some friends that they can hang out with, and rely on and get support from, whether that's entering the workforce, whether that's doing volunteer work, going back to school, getting their GED, or going down a career path, to become, to get a degree or diploma in a particular area, and also to feel better and more satisfied in their life. So it's a large. Our mission is broad, but it's really all about supporting people where they're at and with the things that are important to them as an individual, just really partnering up with people on their own recovery, and working together here at the Clubhouse. I think what's really kind of unique about the Clubhouse model, it's based on meaningful relationships and meaningful work. And so when Crossroads opens its doors in the morning, for instance, members come in, staff come in, and we work together on what needs to get done. If that's preparing the lunchtime meal, if it's getting the statistical report done, is it, maybe hiring a new staff? Like we have members who sit in on our hiring committees. And so members of Crossroads are involved in all aspects of our operation. Our team is small enough that it means that the staff can't do all the work. We absolutely need members to give of themselves, to share their skills, to share their talents, to try something new, to learn with us. So yeah, we work very closely together, getting work done and operating the entire program and delivering services together. And I think that's a really cool aspect of what a Clubhouse program offers to people who are experiencing mental health challenges or needs.
No, that's awesome. I love to hear that they're so involved.
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell you a story about that. I feel it's one of our markers of success. When we look at, what is it about Crossroads that, has made, some differences. I think in a huge way, the Clubhouse movement has been one of the first movements that relied and depended on the person and their life experience and them sharing that experience to make things better. And so this idea of how popular it's become for, first voice presentations or first voice sharing, where people who with lived experience are the experts and they're most able to help other people understand. That has been a concept in the Clubhouse model since the late 1940s. And that's the underpinnings of Crossroads Cape Breton. A funny story was back when we were hiring our very first staff in late 1994, I had members were involved in our planning committee. So there was 3 or 4 members who were directly involved in making decisions about how to even start our Clubhouse. I had invited a member to sit on the hiring committee at that time, and every time since, of course. But so a member and I were partnering with 1 or 2 other management staff to do the hiring at the old Cape Breton Hospital site. And kind of the word got out that there was a patient sitting on the hiring committee. And what I heard afterwards is that there was a number of people who withdrew their name from that hiring process because they were really anxious about what it meant to have a person who had been a patient or who was a patient, and that they maybe had been, providing treatment to them on an inpatient basis or an outpatient basis. And some people were concerned about a person's ability to kind of step outside of themselves and be objective and that sort of thing. And it was just a fascinating start, to our history, because it really, really dug right into issues around, I think, some of the beliefs that we carry with us, some of our own, stigma, and some of those thoughts and ideas that many of us struggle with at times about, gosh, what does it mean to have a serious mental illness? What can people do? What are they capable of? And how has life, changed them and affected their abilities and their strengths and that sort of thing. But it was just so interesting. So we knew that the people who were applying for that job, knowing that a quote unquote patient was what had some power to decide on whether they were hired or not, we knew that the people applying for that job were the right kind of people because that was the work that they were committing to on a day in, day out basis. So.
Yeah, no, and I think that's awesome too, that like you're still including members on like the hiring committee. It's helping to remove the stigma for sure around mental illness.
Yeah.
And we still don't see many organizations that are doing that. So it's nice to hear that there's an organization around that's actually being like so involved with the members.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think that's in big part due to the fact that clubhouses all over the world are together trying to achieve these ideals. And so we also have the support of many other clubhouses who are kind of fighting the good fight and trying to keep their eye on the prize and try to stay focused in that way on what's really most important, which is true, meaningful participation, and also power around decisions, making decisions, and to invite people into that and to ensure that people are around the table, I think is a really important aspect of the work that many of us are doing.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll get into our next question. You did touch on it a little bit, but
Yep.
maybe we'll find out more. So how is Crossroads connected to Clubhouse International, and what does Clubhouse International do specifically?
Yeah. So Clubhouse International, and oh my goodness, like Emma, tell me if I'm being too long-winded.
Oh no, it's fine. Don't worry.
Or time, give me time, something. Clubhouse International is kind of the umbrella organization that really supports and governs clubhouses all across the world. They kind of are the keeper of these Clubhouse International standards. They support new programs or new communities in developing clubhouses. They connect one clubhouse with another clubhouse when they have similar experiences and are struggling. They also manage what's called the accreditation process. And there is an accreditation process, an independent accreditation process for clubhouses. The term clubhouse became very, I'm going to say, popular 15, 20 years ago all across the world, because mental health services in many, many places were like, what's this clubhouse thing? They're getting funding. Like, these clubhouses are getting funding. Let's get in on that. And so a lot of programs started calling themselves a clubhouse, but actually weren't following the standards of clubhouse. So Clubhouse International kind of grew out of the need to share that knowledge, but also to share accountability as well. And so Clubhouse International has developed an accreditation process. It happens every 3 years, and it involves a massive, we have to study ourselves. We have to do a self-study. We have to fill out reports and questionnaires, provide statistics to Clubhouse International. And then they send a staff and member team from other clubhouses across the world who have been trained to evaluate clubhouses. They send that team to us. They visit with us for 3 or 4 days, and they assess whether or not we're meeting those 37 standards and how closely we're meeting them. And then they issue an outcome. So either you don't get accredited at all, you might get a 1-year accreditation, or the highest level of accreditation is 3 years. And they give recommendations about the things that you really need to focus on in order to provide better service to people in your community. So yeah, Clubhouse International is just it oversees all of that, and they just have tons of resources, and they also keep all of the research for clubhouses. They have like a section on their website where they're always gleaning research and keeping it there, and wonderful articles that have been written by people all over the world. So yeah, great resource, and the accreditation and governing body for clubhouses.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So how would an individual get involved with Crossroads?
So we look at it as being very self-directed. We don't really accept traditional referrals from another service. If another service is supporting someone and they want to get that person kind of involved, we encourage them to come in for a tour. So coming in for a tour is the first step. Family can come in, healthcare providers can come in, community service providers can come in, the individual who's considering membership. It doesn't matter who, we will provide tours to anybody. And during these times, during the pandemic, sometimes we've had to shift to virtual. So we'll actually do a virtual tour with someone. We'll take them around on a device and show them the space and talk to them about what membership is about. So come in for a tour. People can just call our main line and book a tour. They can go on our Facebook page and maybe message us, and then we can get in touch with them that way as well. So it's as simple as picking up the phone and coming in for a tour. If you like what you see, then you can the person can fill out a 1-page application form. And then there is a second step, which is a healthcare provider form that usually the individual will take to the person who knows them best, from a health perspective. Might be a social worker, it might be a counselor, it might be a clinician, it might be, a family doctor, it might be a psychiatrist, So it could, so that's kind of the process. So yeah, people can, Crossroads Cape Breton, we're on Facebook. People can message us, or people can call our main line. Yeah.
Perfect. No, that's super simple. I love to hear that. Really accessible.
Yeah, we try to be. And what's really cool, I think, about Crossroads is I think there's been a lot in the news over the last number of years about things like wait times in mental health services, and how long it is taking at times for people to get access to clinicians and individual therapists. And I know it's been a massive concern for many, many people in the community. What's really wonderful about Crossroads is we don't have any wait time. And on average, once someone starts the process and they come in for a tour, membership can start within sometimes days or a few weeks. Like it's people aren't looking at 5 or 6 months. And so we're really proud of that. We try to be accessible. We try to kind of work with people where they're at. Some people come in for a tour and then they want to take time to think about it. And maybe they'll come back in 6 months or in 2 years and continue with the process. So yeah, we do try to streamline it a bit, and it doesn't take too long by any means to become a member.
No, that's awesome to hear. Okay, so who can attend Crossroads, I guess? And is a mental health diagnosis required? And like, what ages are you serving currently?
So we're currently, membership is open currently to people who are 18 years and over. And generally speaking, we're looking at individuals who have who do have a mental health diagnosis of a mood, anxiety, thought, or personality disorder. And then, there's a number of specific health conditions that would fall under each one of those. So I know we've been involved in some research and just looking at our general membership. People who are living with depression, people who are living with anxiety, and people who are living with schizophrenia and bipolar affective disorder would describe for most of our members what their primary health condition that they're living with from a mental health perspective.
Okay.
Yep.
So what types of programming are available for individuals that are accessing services at Crossroads?
Yeah, so I think the basic structure is what we call our work ordered day, and that is 5 days a week, sometimes evenings and weekends as well. Plus we're open on holidays. We're open on all of our major holidays like Christmas Day and Boxing Day and that sort of thing. So we have our work ordered day in which staff and members, and I kind of commented on that, come together and do the work of the club together, because the message to members is that you are wanted, needed, and valued. And the Clubhouse belief is that when you say that with sincerity to somebody, and then you follow it up with real work, it can change someone's life to be involved in meaningful work in which other people are actually now depending on you. A lot of people with mental illnesses do end up losing confidence in themselves as individuals. And a lot of people end up experiencing the fact that they need other people to support them, and they need to go to this service, and they have to get, they need some help or assistance in this area of their life, whether it's with, kind of managing symptoms or keeping their home and all those sorts of things. And so the Clubhouse message kind of turns that around a little bit and says, yes, you may be living with a mental illness, but you are still a person and an individual of deep worth and many talents and many strengths and capabilities. And that's what we're going to focus on at Crossroads. And that message, coupled with real, put your hands on, help us get this done. We got a deadline. We got to get our newsletter out by Thursday. It can be transformative in people's own individual lives. And so our work order day and the way we work together, I would say, is like the biggest kind of service and support that we provide. More specifically from that, we have employment programs that really help people kind of enter paid and unpaid work. We help people with housing. We help people get connected to other community services and agencies. We have a range of supports around wellness and access to health and advocacy and working with community services to advocate for if you need a special diet or something like that. So the actual services and supports, they affect many areas of life, and yet the foundation of it is kind of our workday, where we come together and need each other so much to accomplish what we need to accomplish. So.
Awesome. I do have another question, I guess, too, that we didn't write down, but I had heard previously that there was a drop-in option at Crossroads. Is that still something that's ongoing, or has COVID put a damper in it?
Sorry, a drop-in option. So usually outside of and I'm not sure if I'll get this right, but outside of the pandemic, outside of the pandemic, we would be open from 8:30 to 4 o'clock every day. And once a person becomes a member, they can come whenever they want to. They can come at 8:30 in the morning and stay until 4. They can come at 12 and stay until 12:45. There's no set schedules or set times, or we don't do therapeutic, counseling in groups and that sort of thing. We don't have individual appointments that members make with staff. It is an open concept, community and environment. And so once someone is a member, they can drop by in an unlimited way whenever they want and for how they want. And that's why it's such a self-directed program and service in that way. With the pandemic, things have changed, because now, of course, we have, most people, double screening. We have to do a screening on the phone, a day or two ahead. We have to screen people before they come into the building. And we've also had we can only have so many people in the space at any given time. So then members need to kind of call ahead and make sure there's space. And at different times, we've been at maximum 10 members at a time. And at different times, we've been at a maximum of 15 people at a time more recently. And so that becomes then, you can't just walk into the building. You have to kind of make sure that there is space and that you've screened and you don't have symptoms and that sort of thing. And throughout the pandemic, of course, we're 2 years in now. Crossroads, our physical doors have been closed 3 times, and now is one of them. This is our 3rd time that actually our physical clubhouse space is actually presently closed to members, because we can't offer, because it's considered a group type of service. Nova Scotia Health can't offer group services right now. And so we are hoping that will change in weeks to come. So right now we've completely transitioned to virtual support. We continue to run our work order day. We have a work meeting at 10 o'clock every morning. We have a movement session, a kind of move and groove kind of at 11:30. We have unit meetings happening at 1 o'clock, and then we have club-wide meetings happening at 2. So we're structuring, our daily structure has just transitioned using the Zoom platform, actually. I don't know if, Emma, if that answers your question when you say about drop-in.
No, it does. I just was thinking about it because I previously used to work with community housing, and I know a few residents there had went to Crossroads and they didn't have a set schedule, and they said they were just going to drop in. So that's where I got the question from.
Yeah.
Wasn't 100% sure. Thank you for clarifying that, though.
Absolutely. I think it's one of the big draws for a place like Crossroads, is that members can completely be in control of their own lives and their own schedule and what opportunities they really wish to get involved in.
Awesome. All right. So I guess, what does a typical day look like at the clubhouse? You went over it a little bit, but outside of COVID, what would it look like?
Well, open the doors at 8:30. Members and staff start coming in. Usually we'd have a morning meeting at 9 o'clock to talk about what's going on in the not only Crossroads, but in the broader community that's really important for us to know about. So it might be things that are happening at the library, or it might be vaccination clinics or whatever. Then we break up into unit meetings. And so there's 2 main unit meetings here at Crossroads in which members and staff work in one of those units. And then all the work happens outside of those, from within those 2 units. So then members and staff go to unit meetings and they talk about the priorities for the day. And the priorities might be, wow, we haven't reached out to these 12 people in the last month. I wonder how they're doing. So then reach out to those 12 people becomes a priority for the day. And then members and staff sign up for that work, and then get together again. Usually then it's a big part of the work is creating a meal together, cooking a meal together, grocery shopping, menu planning, having lunch at 12 o'clock with one another in our dining room, cleaning up, and then hitting the work day again at 1 o'clock where unit meetings happen again. And the question is, what work got done this morning and what needs to get done this afternoon? Does anyone have any support needs? And so if someone says, yeah, I'm about to lose my apartment, then what we do is say, okay, what member and staff can support you with the housing need? And then members and staff sign up for that work as they would for anything else. And then we have numerous Clubhouse kind of committees or planning meetings or we have decision making once a week, in which anything affecting how we operate the Clubhouse gets brought to our Thursday decision making meeting. And we use consensus as our basis of decision making. We don't vote. We come to agreements and share and learn from each other and look at a topic and look at all the aspects of that topic and try to find the best route through. So we have this consensus decision making that happens weekly. Yeah, so that's kind of a typical day at Crossroads. And in between all of that, the phone is ringing. Lots of members are calling in and checking in, and we're also reaching out a lot to members. Our members do a lot of our reach out, and so like members will sign up for, yeah, I'm going to call these 10 people today and check in with them and see how they're doing. And that's been a really powerful tool to let people know that you might be feeling a little bit isolated, you might be feeling a little bit disconnected or not so great, but Crossroads is here, we care about you, we think about you, and we're taking the time to check in with you and to see if you need any information or anything we can do to help you come into Crossroads. The more active people are in coming into Crossroads and really engaging in this workday, the better outcomes people experience. And the more changes that people introduce into their lives. So if someone comes by once a month, they might still expect that they still experience benefits. But if someone comes in 3-4 times a week and really, really, really gets involved, things start happening. And it's tremendous to see.
Oh, I bet. No, it sounds like an awesome day. Super busy though, but
yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. We always say that like staff and members have to be really tremendously, you have to get good at multitasking, focusing on one project, and then still kind of chatting to people and talking to people, and someone comes by and says, what about that? And what about this? And did you get that done? And that's for both staff and members. So it's a busy, active, energetic, hopefully, environment. And really clubhouses are to be vibrant spaces, and spaces that encourage people to kind of get involved and to work alongside other people, and then to experience the benefit of what it means to accomplish that work together. They aren't supposed to be, clubhouses are not intended to be quiet, planned, organized spaces at all. It's a lot of movement and a lot of change, because that's actually what we want to have people experience in their own lives. Movement forward, taking risks, putting your foot out in front of you when you're not exactly sure what might happen, but to have the confidence that you're going to be okay, and good things are going to happen. So that's really our workday here. Really, hopefully, frames it up for people to start to really invite change into their own life.
No, that's so awesome. Okay, so how has Clubhouse made a difference in the community?
So I think we've made a lot of difference in the community. Over the course of our history, we've probably been connected in a supportive way with, I'm going to say, 500 different people. And many of those people have improved their lives in just so many different ways. We've had many, many people, and I mean like maybe 150 to 200 people, have improved their housing. over 100 people have entered the workforce and entered paid work life. Oh my goodness, hundreds of people, the relationships and have improved, and they've developed friendships. And almost everybody who's attended Crossroads has developed a sense of belonging to something else in their life. And that to me is what is really at the core of the work that Crossroads does, is it offers belonging to people who often don't feel that way. And that sense of belonging is, I think, one of the most powerful features in any of our lives. I think we might take it for granted when you have it, but if you don't feel like you belong to other people, or that you belong to a group, doesn't matter how big that group is, but if you don't feel like you belong anywhere and to anyone, that can bring about some really devastating feelings and experiences. And so I think that's been one of the key positive benefits that we've had together, that members and staff have had on the lives of other members. And staff feel the same way too. The staff who come and work here experience the same kinds of things, that deep-rooted sense of, I have people who care about me. This isn't just a job that I'm getting paid for. Members and staff care about who I am as a person. They believe in me when I sometimes don't, and so staff and members both benefit from that. And so I think there's been lots of practical benefits that many members have experienced over the course of the 25 years. People have gotten married, people have had children, and these would have been dreams that people had. Like, one day I hope to, have that relationship, and I hope to get married someday. Well, members have done that. We've seen and walked alongside people as they've introduced these new things into their lives. So on more of a community and service or system level, I think we've been pretty groundbreaking in some key areas, like valuing first voice or lived experience. We've always done that. And we've done that at a time, or in those early days, where that was not popular at all. It was quite heavily frowned upon. People would ask me what I was doing. I needed to be careful. I was going to be making mistakes as the coordinator by doing this sort of thing. So I think we've been, we forged some inroads in the areas of honoring lived experience, along with some other communities. I believe we've advocated a lot for for changes to our social system and our income support systems. We were actively involved in changing things like the amount people can earn on income assistance if they're involved in a supported employment program. It used to be, when I started working, it was like, I don't know, $50 a month someone could earn. And so we would have presented to the legislature in Halifax, advocating for changes to things like income and work, and the right to live with dignity, and to have enough money, to do that. I think as well, we've had an impact on, in some ways, the direction and the development of formal mental health services as well, because we would have been one of the first formal mental health services that started talking about things like getting people to work, getting people improving their housing, people going back to school. That has become pretty commonplace now, and there's tons of community-based services that are focused on those things. But in mental health, we were one of the first programs, I think, to really say this is as therapeutic as other treatment modalities, and we would have introduced the Clubhouse and all the benefits, even within our own mental health services, and really contributed to a lot of development of new programs in mental health as well. So community supports programs and housing programs that are now part of mental health services. They weren't there, and we would have done that groundwork. Crossroads would have done that groundwork based on the Clubhouse model, about knowing what really what can really help people. I think, we've contributed to, and when I say contributed, we're all about partnerships. We're all about people. We've developed some awesome partnerships in the community. And through some of those partnerships, you know, we've contributed to starting the Shimmy project, which is a supported housing for individuals with mental illness. We started that project with New Dawn a dozen years ago. And there's now 39 beautiful apartments that people are living in, or Shimmy apartments right now. We contribute greatly to the underpinnings and growth of the Pathways to Employment. Wonderful, wonderful agency that is out there now. We were involved in the development of that agency. We would have actually had one of our staff who was actually, we loaned one of our staff to that agency to get it up and off the ground. The values and beliefs about real work, for real pay, we would have brought a lot of those values and beliefs to the development of that social enterprise piece in this community as well. So yeah, I just really think that yeah, we've had a lot of, I think we've made a lot of differences to individuals, but also to systems and services in this community.
Yeah. No, it sounds like you've created like a lot of waves of change in the community, and it's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
All right, so we're getting into more of a personal part here. What do you enjoy most about working at Crossroads?
It's interesting. This one should be the easy one, but like when I saw the question, I was like, oh, I have to really think about that. And to be honest with you, I think it's really about what I enjoy most about the work is that I get to work with people every single day who are continuing to try to move forward in their lives, despite sometimes many, many, many barriers and many challenges and many quote unquote, you know, failures maybe that they feel like they've experienced. And I just get to work with people. I don't have to work with people through a lens of illness. I don't have to look at someone first and foremost as being a person with a mental illness. It's not how I have to work with people. I get to work with people as being, who is this person about? You know, and what do they love to do? And how can we harness some of their talents? And so a lot of people, I think, who are living with ongoing or serious mental illness, I do believe they end up wearing a cloak of illness around them. They're going to appointments, they're talking about symptoms, they're going for treatments, which is all wonderful and good and necessary for many, many, many people. But I think people can sometimes get into that pattern of being an ill person. And I think that's what I enjoy most, is that I get to walk alongside people as they shed that coat. Yeah, you have a mental illness. Yes, it's an important part of who you are. Yes, it gets in your way sometimes, and you have to figure out how to manage it and strategize and keep on top of it. It's extremely relevant. And plus, you got a whole life to live too. You got friends to make, you got places to go, you got things to do. You've got goals and dreams to aspire to. So that's, I think, you know, when I think about the work that way, the way that we work in relationship with one another, as colleagues, as mutual supporters, as members having expertise, as well as staff having expertise, that is a tremendously positive way to be able to work with people. I'm not saying that, you know, times aren't really tough. Sometimes mental illness brings about some devastating results. We've lost people due to mental illness. We've lost members due to mental illness over the years, and they have been very, very, very difficult times. So I'm not downplaying the reality of serious mental illness at all. They've been some of the hardest, you know, moments in my life, that's for sure. But we keep kind of being able to kind of link arms and keep walking in some kind of direction, and to see people when they start introducing all these wonderful things into their life, it's an amazing privileged place and position to be in. So yeah, I've found Crossroads, found the model, found the people and the members, and I've been here ever since, and I'm sure I'll retire from here. So yeah, it's been wonderful.
Oh, that's so awesome. I'm glad that you love the work that you're doing and the people that you're working with. That's what matters most, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, so we're on to our last question now. Are there any new and exciting initiatives on the horizon for Crossroads?
Yeah, I think. I mean, of course our doors are closed, so we just can't wait to kind of reopen again. And because it really has had a huge impact. The pandemic has had a huge impact on our delivery of services and supports. But yeah, I guess some of the things that we're really looking forward to in hopefully the not too distant future. Crossroads participated in a cross Canada research study with 5 other accredited clubhouses, and it was a 2-year research study that started about 2.5 years ago, and 65 members of Crossroads participated in that, and the results are just about ready to come out, and they'll be published in a number of journals of mental health all across the world and available. And it's the first research study of its kind in the Clubhouse world, because it is a multi-site and longitudinal study over 2 years. So it's never been done in the Clubhouse world. So we're really excited to be a part of that and to see the results. We've got a new wellness center here. We have this new beautiful space. We have a wellness center here that the Rotary Club of Sydney has donated almost $10,000 to outfit it. And so we've been getting in new equipment and ordering more equipment, and we can't wait to really just make some inroads in the area of wellness. A lot of members are struggling with physical health issues. It's just having a huge impact on many people's lives, is this level of not only mental wellness, but also physical wellness. And so we have to figure out ways of digging in and really continuing to help people get up and go and get moving and and it includes all of that: movement and exercise and water and eating well and food security and et cetera, et cetera. And we've done lots of initiatives around that. But with this wonderful donation from the Rotary Club, we're really hoping that our wellness center becomes a real focal point when we're back open and with all of this new equipment, so that someone's work that day might be to go on the treadmill for 30 minutes, and that's your work today, because that wellness work is as important as anything else in people's lives. We're also looking to, hopefully this summer or fall, to create some outdoor space that we're kind of a gather and grow space. So a place to come together, to be together, to maybe have some community gardens, to maybe be growing some flowers and some vegetables, and all of the above. And the Member 2 Men's Society has been a huge supporter of that. They actually donated the proceeds of their golf tournament in October to Crossroads, and that was $3,500. And that money will be used towards us developing some type of green space on this property. Hopefully you'll see it someday soon. And our hope is as well to keep that partnership with Member 2 going, and to learn from them, and to, and they've offered to help us with that. So we're really, really excited with that. Or about that. And I think the other really big thing is we just cannot wait to get back to our employment placements. We typically have like 15, 16 jobs in the community with a range of different employers, Medicine Shop, No Frills, CBRM, Pathways to Employment, Port of Sydney. Like we have jobs with all these agencies, and they've all really come to a screeching halt during the pandemic. So we're just at the beginning of starting to get back to our employment placements, because we see every day what that work, the value and importance of that work in people's lives. So yeah, we're really, really, really anxious to get our employment program back and going. So there's some of the initiatives that are up and coming.
Awesome. No, they sound great. I'm excited to see how they pan out.
Thank you.
All right. So we've reached the end. Usually we leave a little period for questions. So if anyone has any questions for Colleen, you can, I guess, like raise your hand with the little emoji thing that Zoom lets you use. You can also put in the chat or just unmute yourself. But yeah, if anyone has any questions, now's your time.
I said a lot.
You did, but that's okay. We're well informed now.
Okay, I have a question, Colleen. So I always have questions. I thought that was an awesome presentation. Thank you so much for sharing so much about Crossroads. I actually learned a lot more about the organization. I was familiar with what you're doing, but it was good it's good to have more of a grasp on the good work that you're doing. So one of the questions I have, just where you mentioned the move to Access Nova Scotia. What has been, I guess, are the members liking the move? Like what's been their reaction to the move? Because as you know, change is always hard for folks. You were in the same space for a long time. So I guess, how are the participants been faring?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the response to the actual space has been tremendous. The space that we have now, it's 5,000 square feet, as I mentioned before, wrapped around in windows. So even when it's snowing out, it's beautiful up here. And we're up on the second floor, so we've kind of got this bird's eye view of the world going by. So members are loving the space. It's dignified, beautiful space, and that is what members deserve. Their recovery is deserving of space that speaks to who they are and what they're trying to achieve. So the space itself is being very, very, very well received. And there's an elevator that works really, really well, knock on wood. Yeah, so that way it's been awesome. The move out of the downtown core area, I think, has been a struggle for a number of members, and it doesn't feel as accessible for some members, because some members either live in the downtown core and therefore would walk to Crossroads, which was very accessible, because we used to be right on Bentinck Street, right next to Highland Art Theatre and Dr. Luke's, right between there. That, I think, has impacted a number of members' sense of accessibility, because now it's either an additional kind of 15-minute walk or it's an additional bus ride. And so I really think that has impacted things, and I think it continues to impact things, which is that kind of transport piece. Unfortunate, but yet we worked for a long time trying to find the right space. We looked in the downtown core for a long time too, and it just wasn't yielding the results that we needed. So yeah, that's kind of
that's good.
The two sides of that.
The other part of the presentation, I really liked how you just mentioned just where language is so important. And I firmly believe, just like as you mentioned, you refer to people as members. And one of the things that I know I often cringe when you call people clients, this and that. I think you guys like, and just and I always, I make it a point. It's like people are individuals, not clients, not patients. So that's awesome that you guys you are on that wave. I really think more organizations, in my opinion, locally and provincially, need to get on that and recognize a person as a person and not just a label or as a client. So I'm so glad that you guys recognize.
Yeah, and that's been since the 1940s. And I mean, so these were early pioneers of these ideas of peer support and helping one another and lived experience, right? What's interesting is the World Health Organization a couple months ago actually recognized the Clubhouse model as a program to watch in the world for our person-centeredness.
Nice.
And for the respecting the human rights of individuals.
Nice.
And they highlighted 3 mental health programs in the world to look towards for those 2 aspects, and Clubhouse is one of them. Yeah, so we're really proud about that, but it also makes makes sense to us because we've always been that way,
that's awesome. You can ask my wife. It's one of my pet peeves where it's like, when I hear clients, I cringe. But anyway, that's me. And I am very hopeful in the coming years. Language will change. It does change. But so glad.
And I think in some places it feels appropriate, and in some places, because words are hard and the words change over time, and popularity around certain words, it goes in and out of popularity and commonly used practice and that sort of thing. I work within the formal system. if someone is seeing, let's say, a therapist or a psychiatrist, using the word member wouldn't necessarily make sense in that context. But yeah, definitely in the kind of work that we're doing and that many community-based organizations are doing, examining that and trying to figure out, what's the right reference, what feels good, what's got the right essence and underneath it. So yeah,
awesome. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
All right, so there's no questions in the chat as of right now, and I don't know if anyone else has just been sitting on a question or not. If so, now's your time to speak. We'll give it a minute, and then if nobody has any questions, we'll let you go. I'll give it right until 11, and then we'll call it.
Yeah, and Colleen, I know, just for everybody on you're pretty accessible. I know a lot of folks on the call right now they know where to find you, right? If they have any follow-up questions. Emma as well is going to put out a follow-up email too, as well. So if folks didn't have the opportunity to take part in the webinar, we will forward it just our YouTube link, so people hear it. So but
and also, like, Emma, you can send out my email to anybody. People can call me on my cell phone, anyone can get in touch with me.
All right, I'll include your contact info when I send out I guess a recording of this video so people can watch it. All right, so I don't think we're going to have any questions, and that's okay. So thank you, Colleen, for joining us, and thank you everybody for coming to watch. I guess hopefully we'll be talking again. We'll probably be working together in the future, I'm sure. All right, so you have a great day. Thanks, everyone.
Colleen.
Bye.
Bye now.